YouTube was good, man. Sorry I came up. You know what I'm saying? On here kind of late. Such short little notice or whatever, but I'm here. Talk about a couple of these shenanigans going on. Some of this bullshit, you know what I'm saying, that's going on around the way locally, nationally, internationally, you know what I'm saying? Just a lot of shit going on, man. So yeah, what's good with y'all, man? I'm just, getting in, man, myself, man. It's cold. About to rain out here, you know what I'm saying? Just getting coming from the gym. So, you know how I do it. You know what I'm saying? You know how I does it. Yeah, man. So we over here, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just wanting to chop it up about this little, you know what I'm saying? This Houston situation. You know what I'm saying? This Houston water situation, man. Man, they clean that shit up quick. Now they like, oh, it's drinkable now, and you don't got to boil it. If I had to boil it in the first place, that means something was wrong with the water, right? All right, so let me go in real quick. I'm gonna send this out real quick. Hold up, I'm gonna send this info out. Hold on, yo. Hold up. Let me see. My bad, y'all. But yeah, man, how y'all doing tonight, man? You know what I'm saying? How's the weather out where y'all at, man? It's raining. It's about to rain out here tomorrow, so you know what I'm saying? It's a little kind of cold and that, whatever have you, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, let me share this out real quick, man. We're gonna go in on this real quick, man. We're gonna touch bases with this bullshit real quick, man. Yeah, man. Live like NBA 95 in this bitch, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So what's going on over here with this shit, man? You know what I'm saying? This whole situation with this water thing, it's happening too much in our areas, man, in our neck of the woods. You know what I'm saying? Where we're at, where we dwell. I can't say communities because we have no communities, but it's happening too much, man. It's getting frequent. It's you know, first Flint, you know what I mean, and then you had the Jackson, Mississippi. You don't hear nothing about the Jackson, Mississippi incident no more, right? Now, over here in Houston, man. Oh, my bad, Detroit too. So it's just every places where we dwell. It's just like, I mean, I'm not gonna be and say this is far fetched because they made something called the projects for a reason, right? They made something called the projects for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because it was one big project. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised. One big experiment in this motherfucker. So y'all let me know what I'm saying, what y'all think, man. So let's go in real quick. We finna play, you know what I mean? Some of the we about to play some of this stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's a crisis on our hand we got going on, man. But then they try to clean it up and try to say, Shaq, what up, man? You know what I'm saying? What's good, man? My bad, let me plug my other speaker. I mean, let me turn my other speaker on. Why am I acting like that? Why am I acting like that, man? The hell? No, my audio ain't right. All right, so yeah, man. So we are gonna let me see. Okay. Yeah, so what y'all think about this, man? They quick to sweep this motherfucker under the rug, you know what I'm saying? Quick to do that, you know what I mean? I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised. This is the kind of stuff they do, man. But see, my thing is how just because they said it's good to drink, it's drinkable. How do we know that? How do we know it's all good to drink just because they said it? So yeah, man. So let's talk about this little situation real quick, man. Yeah, man. So all right. So let me play something from this, man. You know what I'm saying? Word, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me play some a little excerpt from this motherfucker real quick, man. You know how the news likes to do it. The news like to, you know what I'm saying, fabricate and sugarcoat. Did I say that right? No, the news like the bullshit. All right, so here we go. We going in right now. We going in. All right, so yeah, man. Oh, it said it was a water main break. That's what they say, right? That was damn. See, you had 2 years ago. You had a water, something with the water main 2 years ago, right? So, all right, let's go. All right. And you notice how they call it something different? A water boil notice. Boil water notice. All right, let's go in right there. Let's. All right, so this is for fair use. 1976. Fair use of 1976 under Section 107. This gives me fair use and to report on the story for criticism purposes, educational purposes, or um, uh, criticism purposes. Right? Did I say that right? Did I say it again? All right, so let's go in on this real quick, man. Let's just explore what it's all about. YouTube making a great killing off these damn commercials.
He considers the water supply safe and says issuing the notice was done out of an abundance of caution. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ron Trevino in for Sherman Chow. We're getting new details on the failure at a water.
Notice there's always a black mayor. This type of stuff is not coincidence, or a governor, or damn, we the fall people, man. You got these, you got these celebrities, you got these politicians, and you got these clergy, selling us out, man. So it works all the time. Same, it'd be the same thing. It's just the script change.
Treatment plant that led to the citywide boil water notice. Schools and businesses closed today as a result. The advisory came last night, about 8 hours after the pressure dipped, exposing water across the city to possible bacteria. Our team coverage begins with Jason Miles, who's live downtown where the mayor just gave an update on this advisory. Jason.
Hey there, Ron. Yeah, the bottom line is that boil water notice remains in effect, and the mayor says the first read, so to speak, that may lead to that notice being lifted won't come until around 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. Meantime, he says a full diagnostic review will be conducted to figure out exactly what happened and to make sure, of course, it doesn't happen again. That boil water notice instituted at 6:47 last night in consultation with TCEQ, despite concerns, the city says, that enough triggers had been tripped to require a notice in the first place. Again, that's why the mayor says it was done out of an abundance of caution. The main problem was the failure of 2 transformers at the East Water Purification Plant, including the backup transformer. That led to water pressures dropping below regulatory levels, although the city says most monitoring locations rebounded within a couple of minutes. Needless to say, Turner realizes it's an inconvenience when you're talking about this kind of notice in the nation's 4th largest city.
I certainly apologize for the disruptions. Kids having to miss school, businesses impacted, even some elective surgeries having to be postponed. But our hope is by late tonight or early tomorrow morning, we'll get a positive response from TCEQ and that the boil water notice can be lifted.
The mayor spoke a lot this afternoon or this morning about the technical aspects of all of this. The entire news conference is online. I encourage you to watch that to get updated on what exactly took place. Another key question that came up today, could this have been intentional, some kind of cyber attack or something like that? The public works director saying there are no signs of any kind of intrusion. Meantime, folks up in Kingwood.
So if you asking the question if it's intentional, why would it cyber? What are you talking about, man? We're not gonna think that no damn hackers or something, what I'm saying, got anything to do with it. We're gonna think that the city has something to do with this. Not no damn hackers. Man, they shift the goalposts, man. But we fall for this type of shit because we don't be on it. We don't ask the questions. We're not firm enough. You know what I'm saying? That'd be on us. You know what I'm saying? That'd be on us, man. That'd be on us. We're not asking the real, you know what I'm saying, hard hitting questions, and that's not,
that may be within the city limits of Houston are not impacted by the boil water notice. Neither are customers of the Clear Lake Water Authority. That's something to keep in mind as we continue to deal with this. Reporting live at Houston City Hall, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
And it is a lot to deal with. Thank you so much, Jason Miles.
Question: would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million users using web?
Let me see. Yeah, this is crazy. Let's see.
This morning, every resident in Houston is waking up under a boil water notice.
Yeah, it means before you brush your teeth or even give water to your pets, there's several things you need to know. School districts around the Houston area have canceled classes and closed for the day. Those districts include Houston ISD, Aldine, Houston Community College, Spring Branch ISD, Southwest Schools, Pasadena ISD, Yes Prep, Barnett Public School, and St. Vincent de Paul Catholic School.
We have our team in place for you to cover it all this morning. Michelle Choi has what you need to do in response to the notice. And our Stephanie Whitfield is live at the water plant with how we got to this point. Stephanie, we will start with you. Good morning.
Good morning. This is all because this water purification plant lost power yesterday morning. And because of that, the treatment plant lost pressure and a boil water notice was sent out to the entire city. And this impacts millions of people. You know, you're one of them if you get a Houston water bill. The city says the East Water Purification Plant never fully lost pressure, but it did drop below 20 PSI. So as required by the TCEQ, the city of Houston sent out a mass notification urging people to boil water before consumption. It was about 9 hours between that power disruption and when the boil water notice was issued. KHOU spoke to the director of Houston Water who explained the delay.
What happened was we had a power disruption in the facility. And when we saw the pressure alarms, at first we thought it was a main break. Then we became notified that the disruption occurred and they had to restart the facility. And all actions were based at that time on trying to restart the plant and see what was happening in the system to make sure that everything stayed safe.
The city saying steps and processes had to be followed to ensure the numbers they were getting were accurate. So what's next? The city says they have to submit a plan to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and it could take 18 hours to process. Now, in addition to Houston customers, this has had a trickle-down effect on many other municipalities. There is an interactive map available online where you can plug in your address to see if you're impacted, and we do have that link on khou.com. Back to you.
Very important information. Stephanie Whitfield live for us this morning. Thank you. And there are several steps you need to take to make sure your family is safe during this boil water notice. For more on that, let's bring in our Michelle Choi live for us this morning. Michelle, a lot to do before people head out the door this morning.
Hey, Steph, yeah, that's right. You know, and a lot of folks actually began stocking up on what you might imagine is bottled water last night. Let's actually take you to some of that video right there. You can see folks buying gallons of water and bottled water at different grocery stores across the city. Now, until this boil water notice is lifted, here are some steps you can take to make sure your family stays safe. If you plan on using tap water for cooking, drinking, bathing, brushing your teeth, and for your pets, well, be sure to boil it for 3 minutes, then let it cool before you use it. And do not use water from any of your appliances connected to your water line, like your ice machine or water from the fridge. As for hand washing, taking a shower, and while brushing your teeth, well, you can use the tap water to wash your hands, but be sure to scrub them with soap and water for at least 20 seconds and rinse them under running water.
See, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This is oh boy, I tell you, man. It just sounds like they're just trying to cover this up. It just sounds like they're trying to, backtrack, and their steps and everything like that, man. These people don't give a damn about, you know what I'm saying? They close the school down, and then they, when the coast is clear to them, then they want to, make sure everything's all good at drinking, Now they say now you don't gotta. First they were saying you gotta boil the water for 3 minutes. Now you saying you gotta boil the. You don't gotta boil the water. Then they had this black mayor up here talking about everything is safe. We're the fall guy. We're the scape. See, they put people like this in place, and then they'll have stuff happen to us, and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's not racism. It ain't racism. You got one of yours out there, even though he's Boule, you got one of yours." Shit, but you know what? It ain't even just so-called white supremacy, right? So-called. It is people that look like us too. we call that. I'm gonna put that in the racism category, right? I'm gonna put that in the bigotry category. I'm gonna put the sellouts and the traitors in the bigotry category. I'm gonna put all that in the category, man. These people mean us no good. They mean us harm and foul. But my thing is, oh well, you know what I'm saying, right? Nobody give a damn. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep track of this. I'm gonna keep track of this, man. We're gonna stay on this. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna stay on this. We're gonna like live Doppler type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the weather. We're gonna stay on this shit, man. And you can't make this shit up, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like with the, you know what I mean, the Flint and the Mississippi or Jackson, Mississippi thing, we're gonna stay on it, man. And see, the thing is, they give people that look like you, you know what I'm saying? They give people that look like you, they give you the incentive, and they try to really make it seem like you know what I'm saying, people like that look like you, whatever, it's just like we're the scapegoat. It always has to be somewhere we live in our town, right? Where we rest our head. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that? Why is that? Yeah, man, it's just like people are bought and paid for it, man. I think other people look at money in a different way than we do. I think we look at it as the end all be all, and I think people look at it as important, and it helps them move and shake around. But I don't think they look at it like we do, man, because we are so quick to sell our people out over this I don't even really call it currency, this debt note. You know what I'm saying? And you got to really think. They got us to where we're paying debt with a debt note, and it's crazy. I don't make that make sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Make that make a lot of sense. So, okay, we're going to go into something else real quick, man. We're going to keep an eye on this story, man. You know what I'm saying? The shenanigans that we got going on over here. Yeah, man. Okay, so let's see what the fuck is going on over here, man. Hold on, man. All right. Oops. All right, man. So we got CNN laying off people. See, something's not right. Well, and we can't not say this is not a recession because you got CNN. First, you had Amazon laying 150 workers off at one time. Now you got what's his name? Now you got CNN. Interesting how that works, right? Interesting dynamic. Let me see what's going on over here with CNN. Hold up. Let's see what the hell's going on over here. Let's see CNN. Hold up. CNN. Hold up. I'm gonna play, let's play this. Sorry about that. Let's play this motherfucker on YouTube. All right, Fair Use Act of 1976. All right, on this section 107, this act Text me from copyright. It gives me, excuse me, this gives me fair use to use this video for criticism purposes, educational purposes, and the whole nine, right? All right, let's go.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that
CNN starting a new round of layoffs just months after shuttering its CNN Plus streaming service. Yahoo Finance's Ali Canal joins us now with more on this latest shakeup in the news industry. Tough times there over at CNN. What are we learning?
Very tough times. Layoffs scheduled for both today and tomorrow. And according to an internal memo obtained by Yahoo Finance, CNN CEO Chris Licht wrote in part, quote, "Our people are the heart and soul of this organization. It is incredibly hard to say goodbye to any one member of the CNN team, much less many. I recently described this process as a gut punch because I know that is how it feels for all of us." Now, of course, this is all part of Warner Brothers Discovery's larger restructuring efforts. The company recently laid off around 70 staffers working in sports across brands like Turner Sports, Bleacher Report. We also saw earlier this summer that the company laid off 14% of its HBO Max workforce. And so far to date, more than 1,000 jobs have been cut. So likely more pain that's on the way. Now, CEO David Zaslav, he's been very aggressive when it comes to figuring out this business since its merger in April. But investors, they haven't been too kind to the stock. Since that time, the stock is down more than 50%. Zaslav saying it's been very tough, very difficult to overcome a lot of these messy merger challenges. But it's really beyond that as well. A lot of the macroeconomic environment, this pullback in advertising. We just saw yesterday that AMC Networks plans to cut 20% of its workforce as, again, the industry is just struggling with this ultra competitive streaming environment and also these cable losses. So CNN, Warner Brothers Discovery, just another part of that story.
It will be an interesting story as we continue to follow it with what we expect more cuts ahead.
Interesting.
No one can say when human remains began surfacing.
Hell. So, Dan, that's an interesting situation, man. Interesting situation, right? How does that work? Warner Brothers on CNN. There's only like 7, big conglomerates and stuff like that, man, that owns these media companies, man. I know News Corp is one of them. Disney is one of them. Viacom. I think maybe Warner Brothers. Shoot. Damn, I forget. CBS, I think. I forget. But so it might be even less, but because everybody buying each other out all the time and stuff. So I mean, what do y'all think about this, man? I'm not surprised, man. And you could tell people we in a recession, they ain't gonna believe you. We ain't in a recession according to these people. We're not in a recession. For shoot, one of the biggest motherfucking media outlets ever is cutting 1,000-something jobs. Interesting, right? Amazon, one of the biggest workforces, delivery services around, is cut thousands or 1,000+ jobs. We don't think that this is not. I don't know, man. But see, what am I talking about? We got Love and Hip Hop. We got TikTok. We got the homegirl that got killed in Mexico. We got all these distractions, stuff like that. That's not going to really affect you in your day-to-day life. Love and Hip Hop was not going to, but my bad, it will. It does, because you have the conditioning from Love and Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? You have conditioning. That's all that is. You got the conditioning from Love and Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, man, because I mean, not even just that too. TikTok, all this stuff. Y'all know that the algorithm in China for TikTok in China is completely different than the ones out here, right? They're teaching their kids wealth building, strategizing, business, education. What we doing on TikTok? I mean, you got some brothers and sisters, man. You got some people that are, got the informative, educational stuff that, about history, politics, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Law. But most of us are just on there clowning, doing these stupid ass challenges. You know what I challenge us so-called black people to do? So-called. I challenge us to come together. That's what I challenge us to do. I challenge us to put our fucking money together. We ain't gonna do that though. That's too much of a challenge. That's an actual challenge. My bad. That other bullshit that we doing on the motherfucking world stage and on this motherfucking these platforms, that's not a challenge. That's a bunch of bullshit. Y'all see how that works? Anybody see how that works? Man, exactly, Shaq. Man, exactly. You know what I'm saying? You see how they do that, man? You see how they do that shit? This is one of the biggest companies, man, you know, around. One of the biggest media outlets, man. But see, they be throwing up a lot of psyops and stuff too. So, all right, let me see. All right, so all right, let's see. Let's go, man. All right, I'm gonna go into a couple more things, man. Dr. Fauci, the fraud. All right, man. Let's talk about Anthony Fauci. You Shaq ain't lying, never lied, man. You ain't never lied about that. Dr. Fauci, let's go.
5 short days ago, behind closed-door testimony, he was grilled by prosecutors who alleged that there was collusion between Biden administration officials and big tech companies to censor American free speech. And during this deposition, Dr. Fauci defended the policy of lockdowns. He said that the inspiration for the lockdowns came from watching communist China. He said that he was not able to cite a single study that supposedly changed his mind into the benefits of masking. And yet still, ironically, during the deposition, he forced one of the stenographers to wear a mask in his presence. Now, this deposition was done behind closed doors and the transcript is not yet available. However, we here at the Epoch Times were able to speak to one of the attorneys who was present in the room, and she gave us a play-by-play of how it all went down. However, before we dive in, let me back up for a quick moment and set the stage for this deposition properly so you can understand exactly how it fits into what's been happening in America for the past 2 years. And I hope that if you appreciate content like this, you take a quick moment to smash that like button as well as that subscribe button so this video can be shared out to ever more people. Now, several months ago, around summertime of 2022, the attorney generals of Louisiana and Missouri, they jointly filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration, accusing them of colluding with big tech companies to censor the free speech of Americans. And after a lengthy discovery phase, well, these attorney generals, they uncovered a treasure trove of emails and other communications showing exactly how extensive as well as cozy the relationship was between these big tech executives and government officials. Then, using this evidence as the basis, the attorney generals then went back to the judge and asked for permission to depose under oath several top officials within the administration. And after a bit of legal back and forth, the judge in the case eventually agreed. He gave the prosecutors full authority to depose, again under oath, 11 different high-level Biden administration officials, including the Surgeon General, Jen Psaki, who was the former White House press secretary, as well as, of course, Dr. Anthony Fauci, in his official capacities as both the director of the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, as well as the chief medical advisor for Joe Biden. And Fauci's deposition was held just 5 days ago. Specifically, Dr. Fauci sat for a 7-hour-long deposition in the city of Bethesda, Maryland, which happens to be where the headquarters of the NIH is located, meaning that the prosecutors actually accommodated Dr. Fauci by traveling to him, which is nice considering the fact that he is 81 years old. Now, again, the transcript for this 7-hour-long deposition has yet to be released. However, we here at the Epoch Times, we were able to speak with Ms. Jenny Yones, one of the lawyers who was present for the deposition, and she revealed to us 2 very interesting points which came out of this closed-door deposition. The first point has to do with how
Joe
Dr.
Biden
speaking about his role in advocating for the lockdowns, cited China as the model that they were using. Specifically, here's what the lawyer told us. Quote, Fauci said that Dr. Clifford Lane, who is a deputy director at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, reported back to him after Lane went to China in early 2020, a few months after the first cases of COVID-19 were detected in Wuhan. Lane reported that China appeared to be controlling the COVID-19 virus through harsh lockdowns, and Fauci soon decided that the United States needed to emulate China, at least to an extent. Dr. Fauci was quoted during the deposition as saying this, quote, "This is what we had to do. There were freezer trucks in New York full of bodies." Now, just as an aside, when Dr. Fauci cites the freezer trucks full of dead bodies in New York, well, he failed to mention that while New York was indeed hit the hardest by the pandemic, one of the policies that they enacted was to force nursing homes to accept patients who tested positive for COVID. And as it so happens, tens of thousands of people died in New York inside of nursing homes due to COVID. And so it's questionable at best how total lockdowns actually would have helped to alleviate that situation. Regardless, though, that is what they pushed for, communist China-style lockdowns. But it's a bit ironic because when public sentiment changed and people across America began to question the logic of the lockdowns, well, the messaging from Dr. Fauci changed as well. For instance, in an interview that he gave to The Hill just a few months ago, Dr. Fauci claimed that he actually never advocated for lockdowns. Take a listen.
I wonder if you would recommend locking down schools if you had to do it all over again.
Well, you know, again, it's first of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down. You're asking me questions. You're talking about the CDC is the public health agency that uses their epidemiologists and their science-based approach to make recommendations.
And so you see, to the general public, Dr. Fauci claims that he never advocated for lockdowns. But in the deposition, under oath, under penalty of perjury, he said that he did advocate for lockdowns and that those lockdowns were actually inspired by communist China. It's amazing how different those two statements actually are. So which one of them is actually true? Well, if we look back through the record, it appears that what Dr. Fauci said under oath is in fact the real deal. As just one example of why that is, well, back in October of 2020, when speaking with students at the College of the Holy Cross, here's what Dr. Fauci said, quote, "When it became clear that we had community spread in the country with a few cases of community spread, this was way before there was a major explosion like we saw in the Northeastern corridor driven by New York City metropolitan area, I recommended to the president that we shut the country down. Unfortunately, since we actually did not shut down completely the way China did, the way Korea did, the way Taiwan did, we actually did see spread even though we shut down." Likewise, in March of 2020, here's what Dr. Fauci said standing right there in front of the White House, quote, "The one thing I do advise, and I said this in multiple hearings and multiple briefings, that right now we have to start implementing both containment and mitigation. And what was done when you close the schools is mitigation." Also, along that same line, in Dr. Deborah Birx's new book, she detailed how both herself and Dr. Fauci, they worked together to convince President Trump to implement the infamous 15 days to slow the spread policy. In that book, well, she added this, quote, "No sooner had we convinced the Trump administration to implement our version of a 2-week shutdown than I was trying to figure out how to extend it." And quite frankly, there are plenty of different clips, quotes, and news pieces just like this showing Dr. Fauci clearly advocating for China-style lockdowns, which he again admitted under oath. Although it is worth mentioning that it was a much different story in terms of his public statements when the political winds seemed to change.
First of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down.
Regardless, maybe setting that aside for a moment, the second interesting point that came out of this closed-door deposition is what Dr. Fauci said regarding masks. All right, the sponsor of today's episode is a phenomenal company called AMAC. That's AMAC, and it stands for the Association of Mature American Citizens. They are quite literally one of the fastest growing conservative organizations in all of America, and you should consider joining for 3 main reasons. The first is the money saving benefit, because as a member of AMAC, you get access to a ton of discounts at many different verticals. Things like vitamin stores, restaurants, retail shops, and so on and so forth. If you want to check out the full list, it's pretty exhaustive, you can do so over on AMAC's website. The second benefit is that you get exclusive access to the AMAC magazine. It'll be delivered directly to your doorstep, and it contains phenomenal coverage as well as deep analysis. And then the third benefit, the one that people say is their favorite, is that AMAC fights for your values over on Capitol Hill. In fact, you can check out the online version of this on their website. It's the AMAC Action Advocacy Annual Report, and it shows exactly what they're doing on Capitol Hill in terms of fighting what they call the socialist storm that's brewing in this country. So head on over to amac.us/factsmatter and sign up today. I'll also throw a link down in the description box below. Specifically, when he was asked about which specific studies made him change his mind about the efficacy and the effectiveness of masking, well, he said that he couldn't think of any. Here is specifically what the lawyer who was in the room told us here at the Epoch Times. Quote, he was asked what studies or study changed his mind in that interim, which is what he claimed. He claimed that it was studied. He couldn't name any. Likewise, the Attorney General of Missouri, he published a statement soon after the deposition saying this in part, quote, another tidbit from the Fauci deposition. In February of 2020, he emailed a friend advising her that masks were ineffective, confirmed again on March 31st. However, on April 3rd, he's adamant that masks should be worn, even though he couldn't cite a single study to prove it. Mandates followed, lives ruined. COVID tyranny is born. Now, this whole part requires a bit of backstory. According to emails that came out of a Freedom of Information Act request from the federal government, back in the early part of 2020, Dr. Fauci was clearly telling people to not mask up and that masks do not work against COVID. For instance, here was an email that Dr. Fauci sent on April 5th of 2020 to Ms. Sylvia Burwell, who is the president of American University. She was traveling at the time, and here's the advice that Dr. Fauci gave her in regards to masks. Quote, Sylvia, masks are really for infected people to prevent them from spreading infection to people who are not infected, rather than protecting uninfected people from acquiring infection. The typical mask that you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out the virus, which is small enough to pass through the material. It might, however, provide some slight benefit in keeping out gross droplets if someone coughs or sneezes on you. I do not recommend that you wear a mask, particularly since you are going to a very low-risk location. Your instincts are correct. Money is best spent on medical countermeasures such as diagnostics and vaccines. Likewise, here's another email, also from the month of February in the year 2020, that Dr. Fauci sent to a reporter from Greece saying that, quote, the vast majority of people outside of China do not need to wear a mask. A mask is more appropriate for someone who is infected than for people trying to protect against infection. Furthermore, around that very same time period, you might remember that Dr. Fauci very famously stated that the general public should, quote, not be walking around wearing a mask, which was consistent with the emails that he was sending in private. The private messages and the public messaging aligned. However, on April 3rd of 2020, Dr. Fauci, as well as several other government officials, they reversed their earlier guidance and they recommended that everyone, meaning the entire American general public, should all be wearing masks whenever they leave their homes. Back then, they said that this change was because of new research, which indicated that a significant portion of COVID patients did not have symptoms but could still be spreading the virus. And apparently, the research showed that a mask could mitigate this fact. And so you have this fascinating situation where, on the one hand, Dr. Fauci, both publicly and privately, is advising Americans to not wear masks. But then, on a dime, he reversed course and told everyone across the entire country to be wearing masks, which then led to a plethora of mask mandates, but also to a giant push by social media companies to censor anyone who dared to question this change in science. But when Dr. Fauci was actually asked under oath about what specific studies he saw that changed his mind, well, he was not able to name any, which is kind of the beauty of the deposition, because on a news program or at a press conference, well, people can generally say whatever they want. But in a deposition, they have to stick with the facts and tell the truth, because they're under oath and under penalty of perjury. And the truth is that Dr. Fauci, when asked about it, could not name a single study. It's also worth mentioning that besides depositions, companies have to be truthful in their advertisements, because generally America actually has very strict advertising laws. And so isn't it funny that the iconic blue COVID masks, they come in boxes that clearly state on the outside that this mask does not prevent or protect against COVID-19. Legally, they have to put that on the box because it's the truth. And yet, if you only listen to public statements, well, you would get a much different impression. Also, just as a fun aside, the lawyer who was in the room, she told us that when the deposition started, neither Dr. Fauci nor anyone else in the room was wearing a mask. However, the woman who was transcribing the deposition, meaning the court reporter, she was sniffling. And Dr. Fauci turned to her and he asked her if she had a cold. The woman said no, and that she instead had some allergies. But here's what the lawyer told us happened right afterwards. Quote, about 15 minutes later, Dr. Fauci asked her to put on a mask and said that he was uncomfortable and that the last thing in the world I want right now is to get COVID. So she had to wear a mask the whole time, the whole rest of the time. Perhaps Dr. Fauci did not see the label on the box that that mask came in, which clearly says that it doesn't really do much against COVID. However, regardless of how this deposition and the entire collusion lawsuit plays itself out, well, it seems like, at least on Twitter, medical misinformation is no longer going to be policed. That's because less than a week ago, Twitter, which is of course now owned by Elon Musk, published this statement, quote, effective November 23rd of 2022, Twitter is no longer enforcing the COVID-19 misleading information policy. Meaning, essentially, starting on November 23rd, when government officials suddenly change their mind about whether something is effective or not and give no real studies to back up their claims, well, that will no longer be a sufficient enough reason to block you, at least on Twitter. If you'd like to read more about this particular story, if you'd like to go deeper into this lawsuit for yourself, or read the detailed account of this closed-door deposition, I'll throw all the links to my research notes down into the description box below. And also, in that description box is a limited-time offer from a company called Webull. They're a platform that you can use to invest in the stock market. And if you click on that link in the description box and you open a free account with them and you fund it with any amount of money, even a single dollar, they will give you 6 free stocks. Over the weekend, I tried it with somebody else's phone, and after signing up, they got 6 free stocks worth a total of $58, which they could trade it right in for cash, they can withdraw it, or they can continue to invest. So it's pretty cool. It's like free money. If you'd like to take advantage of that offer, the link will be right there in the description box below. And lastly, Over on Epic TV, I just published a deep analysis of these giant blood clots that morticians have been recently finding in bodies across the entire country. It is, in my opinion, a pretty good and solid report, but no matter how good and solid it is, well, I cannot publish it here on YouTube. If you'd like to check it out, the link to that episode that's over on Epic TV will be right there at the top of the description box. I hope you check it out. And then until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epic Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.
So yeah, hopefully your boy Fauci, hopefully something comes out of it, man. Because definitely he was definitely not telling the truth, man. You know, you saying the mask thing wasn't your idea, then you going back on it. You know what I'm saying? And you saying that you didn't tell people to what else? What are you saying? That he, you know, it's just man. I mean, this dude's just lying, man. You know, it's all lies, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, he gets a certain amount. You know what I'm saying? For you know, scapegoating that whole situation, man. It's all planned. It's all by design. Biden and everything, all of them are in on it, man. You know, these people are not to be trusted, man. You know, they ain't to be trusted, man. So, yeah, man. But I always knew Fauci was, you know, something was up with him. We've been saying this for years, but nobody believed us. You know, everybody wanted to go with that narrative. Everybody wanted to go with the media narrative, man. That because everybody was scared. That's what you do when you're scared. You make irrational and drastic decisions, man. So, yeah. So I'm gonna holler back at y'all, man. I'm gonna do another video Friday, man. You know, Friday and Saturday we cracking. You know what I mean? We on. I'm about to get my butt off here, man. So, you know, like, you know what I'm saying, comment, subscribe, man. If you ain't subscribed, share this out to your social media, and stay vigilant, man, and don't fall for this sucker shit, y'all. All right, I'm gonna holler at y'all.